really lay it down pretty early in Brotopia that there are impacts on the women in the system, impacts on the industry itself, and impacts on society at large. Mm-hmm. Let's take those 1, 2, 3 if we could. What's the impact of all this on the women who are either part of or would like to be part of the tech industry?
Well, it's incredibly discouraging. I mean, there's 300 pages about that very question. We use the word visionary to describe men. We think of people like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. This is what a tech visionary looks like. We don't use that word to describe women, unfortunately. And I think for women, girls who are thinking of studying computer science or going into the tech industry, when you don't see anyone who looks like you, you don't feel welcome, you don't feel like you belong. I mean, it's as simple as, if there's one other woman in a room of, let's say 12 men, I might be, I think I'm gonna be just fine. And so all of these really talented women, are turning to other industries and looking for jobs elsewhere. I mean, I just think, what if more women had the chance to found a Google or a Facebook or an Apple, and how different the world might be if they'd had a seat at the table 3 decades ago, 2 decades ago, when many of these companies were being born. You can't even, there's no way to fully comprehend what the real impact is.
So you've segued already a bit into the impact on the industry. Mm-hmm. How might the industry be different but for the phenomenon of Brotopia that you
Well, I work through a number of different hypotheses. I think that gender is just one characteristic, right? I think in a company, let's say on a team, you want diverse perspectives of all kinds, whether it's men and women, whether it's people of color, people of different backgrounds, different class backgrounds. A room with a diverse set of voices, to me, will come up with the best solution to the problem that you're trying to solve. If you don't have diverse voices in the room, you have blind spots, and that can impact a company any number of ways. You're not developing products that are suitable for everyone. You're probably going to make less money. In fact, the data shows that when there are more women on an executive team, those companies are more profitable. But I'm not saying executive teams should be all women, because once you get to like 60%, it starts to that profitability starts to decline. It really is that balance that is the most beneficial if you're looking purely from a revenue perspective. Since you have studied privacy, I talk about an example where Mark Zuckerberg at Facebook really wanted to show the location of people who were tagged in photos, whereas women in the room were like, no, that's not okay, actually. Like, people don't want that necessarily. They don't want, anyone on Facebook to be able to see where they are. And so, maybe we would have had decisions made differently on privacy, which is a huge, it's a huge, huge issue right now. Online harassment and trolling. Ev Williams, who's the co-founder of Twitter, I interviewed him for my book, and he said, early on, we just thought Twitter would be used like where people could talk about what they had for breakfast. We didn't think it could be used to, harass or troll people. And he says, I think if we had more women in the room, that we might have realized that. We might have realized some of the more negative consequences of our product and how different the world might be, how different Twitter might be if, it hadn't become a feeding ground for trolls, essentially. They've definitely worked to improve that, but there's still a lot of work to do.